traders, Cousin Benny coming to you on Sunday, March the 3rd with a look at the week ahead. Futures are open and presently are down 150, and the dollar is pretty much where it closed on Friday. We're in this broadening pattern to the downside, and we broke down from this broadening pattern earlier. We have in the middle of February, I should say. We also had Chess and Wine point out that on the spiders and the S&P, we have this left shoulder, head, right shoulder, possibility of an inverted head and shoulders that we could break higher out of. So that's the bullish case. On the daily, remember the stochastics is moving higher and it's pretty wide here, so there's pretty good momentum. We had a nice hammer or hangman, if you will, in an uptrend, which is interesting. We look at the weekly. We also had a hangman on the weekly, and we had several dojis here. So we'll keep an eye on that going into the week. Some interesting information from Ukarowitz with Volkovsky's chart pattern indicating a sell that we saw obviously at that high at 1525, and we have yet to see a buy signal. Note the divergence on the signal as well as when this occurred back in December. I pointed out on Thursday and Friday that a 3-line break chart on, if you go to StockTwits and select 3-line break, this chart is pretty much like a point and figure chart in that it eliminates a lot of the noise. You can see we have some really solid selling signals here, candles, and we also have ADX indicating that this uptrend has peaked. Also note that on that particular chart we have RSI moving down close to 50. Let's see what happens on Monday. And we have A-rune pointing down. We have yet to see the sell A-rune or down A-rune move higher. Also note the down volume is increasing, and note the number of stocks above their 50-period moving average pretty much took a nosedive in the end of February, as one would expect. The Russell daily has shown a cross on the stochastics, and we're breaking above this upper trend line. We're also above the 20-period EMA. So this will be very important to see what happens on Monday, whether or not we might make a stab at this higher high at 931 or above, or if we break down here and move lower. The comp looks pretty much the same. We're right at that trend line. Depending on where you draw it, if you draw it along the closes, we're above that line, and stochastics is pointing higher. We're above the 20-period EMA. DBV, an indication of the carry trade. You also want to see this type of candle not occur, where you see these sticks above. Prefer to see it continue to move higher, which it hasn't given a new low, but it did break down below this low here and closed higher. Alright, it bounced off the 50 period. Note the stochastics. So this is something to watch on Monday as far as the carry trade. You can also watch the Euro-US dollar, which is at an area of support that we put in the beginning of January. So you want to see this get back above these EMAs. Note that the 20-period EMA is headed down and broke down through the 50-period moving average. The 200 is right here, and we need to get back above that. We would need to watch for a retest of this level and a move back down for a bearish case, which would also be bearish for stocks if the dollar continues to move higher against the euro. You might have noted in the room and also on StockTwits and Twitter that I've been trading the currencies because there's a lot of volatility in the yen as of late. So the currency yen pairs are pretty hot. So anyway, we broke down out of this ascending trend line, and we're coming back to test the 20 period. This will be something you also should have on your watch list to keep an eye on this week. Move back up into this channel would be bullish for stocks, and conversely bearish if it continues to drop off here and this turns out to be a bear flag. Let's take a look at GTO's bond stock ratio as well. First of all, let's take a look at TLT. Last week I put in a target for TLT considering the strength that we were seeing on stochastics at this upper trend line, but it looks like we stalled right at the 20 period or the 50 period MA, and we have the 20 period EMA turning and moving north. UST, the 10-year, we had this downtrend that we broke above, put in this big stick, and now we're moving back above this area of resistance right here. So the next area to watch for is this up here on the 10-year. So with regard to GTO's weekly bond stock ratio, we can see that we've definitely turned here, but the S&P, rather the New York advanced decline, is still sloping upward. So I'd like to see what this does this week as well. Look in the S&P 500 sectors plus the IYR and IYT. You can see we're back above the 20 period on most of these. Testing the 200 or the 50 on XLB, testing the 20 on XLK, XLI or above. You can see where XLF is, testing the 20, XLE, XLP, consumer staples, is above. If this continues to move higher and we see some movement downward on these other sectors, that would be bearish. So you want to see XLP maybe come back down to this period, this 20 period, if you're bullish. Cyclicals had a nice candle on Friday, as did healthcare and XLU. Looking at the NYA, New York Composite, you can see we're right at point and figure resistance and just below the 20 period MA. Note the Dow Industrials came down and tested point and figure support at 13,930, and the bulls took control and pushed this back up to 1408, 14,089.66 on Friday. We can see that the dollar did try to test the 82.62 area, so that's the next level point and figure resistance. We have support underneath us at 81.25. I would expect that this possibly could move back down into this candle if we see strength on the S&P. If we see weakness, I would expect that this is going to be climbing higher. But this will be substantial resistance because we've had quite a run here. But note all the MAs are moving higher. Also note that we have a quadruple bottom here. Okay, we tested this level 4 times, now we're moving higher. So we did build quite a base on the US dollar. And we can see the monthly on the dollar at same level up here, just above 83 on a monthly chart for point and figure resistance. We have two really nice candles on the dollar on the monthly chart. And if you connect these lows, you can see that we're continuing higher. On a point and figure chart, you can also see the rising lows. Okay, so that indicates strength. That means that sellers are not in control, buyers are in control when you have higher lows on a point and figure chart. The euro is sitting right on point and figure support, so if these moving averages continue to move lower, I would expect this to drop down. I don't know that it would test the 126.72 area anytime soon, but that's an area to be considering. Looking at the futures, we're still down 130. Copper, as we pointed out last Sunday, we were looking at this triangle and we dropped right off of that. Now we're putting in a bear flag. So this is really important to watch for the week to see whether or not we break out of this pattern to the downside and if this embeds down here, or if we bounce up here and use this as a pivot for a move back up. Okay, so that's going to do it for me. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from Day Trader Bootcamp. If you haven't tried the 2-week free trial, come in. I think GTO is going to be back this week, maybe on a limited basis, but we have a lot of good traders in the room. Come and introduce yourself and take the 2-week free trial. I hope this helps. We'll see you in the room tomorrow. Take care.